Hello, welcome back to Bible Calamity. Today we are talking all about time and culture. Me and Billy here are playing foosball, and he's hard pressed and determined that this game is called football. I am determined it is called soccer. Thing is, we're both right. We're just coming from two different cultures. If you didn't know here, Billy the sheep is actually European. Um, He's very European, actually, and he just thinks this game's called something completely different than what I do. And but we're both right. It's kind of like how in Christopher Columbus's time, and actually most of human history, everyone just was determined that the Earth was flat. It was not round. It was flat. All the way around. Just pancake. Now, we know that's not right, but if you go back and read something from someone else a really, really long time ago, they might mention something about the world, and they're thinking it's flat. Well, we know it's round, so we gotta just put that on our minds that we gotta read this as if the Earth's flat, because that's how he was writing it. Some things are like that in the Bible. They're very, very similar. Things like this happen all the time. Now, translations try to make it easier for us to understand, but there's still a big cultural time element involved where we just don't understand because we didn't live there. And there's a whole bunch of stuff like that. And we're going to talk about those things today. There are also some other things that, if we're just reading through the Bible and not understanding where we're coming from, where they're coming from, if we're just thinking about, our time, where we live, what we do, how we think, we miss a lot of the stuff in the Bible that really can blow our minds. Like when Moses went down to Egypt to rescue the Israelites, and God sent the plagues to Egypt. Those 10 plagues, they were very important. They just weren't 10 random plagues. They had a lot to do with the gods of Egypt. As God was working through these plagues, he was also tearing down the gods of Egypt, tearing down Egypt as they went. And when they left, a lot of the gods, not all the gods, a lot of the gods of Egypt, the big gods, were totally humiliated. And Pharaoh and all of his priests were completely humiliated because this God they haven't heard of, the God of the slave people, the Hebrews, was now taking over and just totally embarrassing all of their gods. And if we just read that and don't think about that, we totally miss what happened there. It was really something special. And there was a lot of thought put into this plagues. God thought about it. God had a reason for each plague. And we're just reading along, we'll miss it. Isn't that right, Billy? He said yes. Yes. Here's another one for you. So, this is Pikachu, right? But if you show this to somebody, let's say, in their 70s or 80s, they may think this is a cute little rabbit with a big long tail that's way too long for it. They won't understand that this is Pikachu. We understand that this is Pikachu, but they won't understand this is Pikachu. A lot like when you're reading through the Bible and you see that David herded sheep, and let's see, who else watched sheep? Well, David herded sheep, Saul had sheep, everyone had sheep. A lot of people had sheep. Here's the thing. Billy here is not the norm for sheep. Sheep don't look like this. They're not white. Very rarely are they white. Why? Because they love to play in the mud. They drag their wool around everywhere. It's dirty. It's nasty. They're normally like a brown color. They're very dirty animals. Sorry, Billy. You're clean. And this is just not what they look like. So when you're reading through the Bible and think, man, David's out there with a bunch of cute, cuddly sheep. No. He's up there with a bunch of mops running around that haven't been wrung out in days, and they're smelling funny, and they're gross. Yeah, so visualize that. You hear that, Billy? You're not the norm. You're a good sheep. Another thing people screw up a whole lot when they're reading the Bible is just, and it's a big calamity, is not understanding where they are when they're talking about it. Okay, so here's a map from Google Earth. This is modern map, modern names. Well, not so modern, but you know. It's where they are now, where everything is right. Moment. So, here's Egypt. Here's Israel, Turkey, Greece, Cyprus, and Syria, Lebanon, and way up there is Russia, and all that up there is Europe. Oh, look, there's Romania. Anyway, so when we look at the Bible, most of it, I would say 95% of it happens right in this area. So there's the Dead Sea, that little blue dot, and from up here to right here, that little chunk of land right there is just about where all the Bible happens. It's where Jesus is born, where David fights Goliath, where they take Jerusalem. Most of the New Testament happens there. Abraham spends a whole lot of time there. And then there's other parts of the Bible, such as down here in Egypt. You know, Jesus went down there to escape being caught by some bad people. And Abraham spent a whole lot of time there too. So did most of the Israelites. 400 years in slavery, Israel spent here. This is where that happened. So this is the Nile River. Everyone lived around this river. Why? Water. Need water to live. There's water here, salt water. There's water here, salt water. That's also salt water. But yeah, so you can't drink any of that. So they lived all around the river. And that's where like everyone lived. You had to have water to live, you had to have water to drink, water your crops. So you do anything, you need some water. So that's where everybody lived. So up in here I'm not on the map on this side, but over on this side, way over here off the map, is where Abraham lived. He was born. It was either down here or up here. I prefer the idea that it's down here, but some people think it's up here. But, you know, whatever. It's whatever. Anyway, so he started down here, went up through here, and went all the way over here. And this area right here was controlled by who? The Canaanites. Exactly. It was controlled by the Canaanites. All of this area right here controlled by Canaanites. All this area over here controlled by Egypt. And yeah, they've been around a long time, those Egyptian people. Anyway, so, you know, Abraham had to deal with that. That was a different time then. When Jesus comes around, all of this, even down here, is controlled under a Roman authority. All of this is under Rome. And in the case of Queen Esther, earlier on, all of this is under Persian rule. So it switches hands a lot, and there's a lot of different rules and laws because people change, people do differently, and, you know, even in Abraham's time. see, sometimes we get confused why Abraham and why all these other people had a bunch of, well, Abraham didn't really have a bunch of wives, but he kind of did. Why all these other people had a bunch of wives? That was because in this time, this area over here, it's pretty common. People did that. A lot of people did that. And it never went well, but they did it anyway. That's why people don't learn. That's not a good idea. Anyway, so this is the map. This is where the Bible really took place. And we need to have this in our mind when we read the Bible. We don't need to be thinking of a thriving rainforest when most of the Bible happened in a desert. Desert, sand, rocks, maybe some grass. That's about it. So there wasn't a whole lot of rain there. We need to be thinking, oh, desert, that's where he lived. It was rocky. It was a little tree here and there maybe. Not a whole lot going on. But over here, it's really green. So when we get to Egypt, we need to think, oh, it's green. There's a lot of water. Green stuff. Yes. Now, when we get to Paul, Paul is a whole different story because he could not stand still to save his life. Literally. But, so he starts here, Jerusalem. We catch up to him here. Okay. He goes here, then 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 he goes here, here. And he goes off the map because I don't have Italy on here. He goes everywhere. He travels a whole lot. He's way up here near the Black Sea, down through here, all this mess right here he went through. He traveled a lot. He traveled through here on a boat, and he ended up shipwrecked on a little bitty island in here somewhere. And, yeah. So when we're thinking about the Bible, we need to think, where are they? What's going on? I need to think about this. Because if you're not thinking about it, you may put Jesus in the totally wrong landscape. You might think he's in a rainforest when actually he's in the desert. The sand. Lots of sand. And rocks. But mostly sand. Anyway. So, when we're looking at all this, we just need to keep in mind, where are they at? When you think Paul is up through here, you can think about it like it's outside. I mean, outside of our houses. It's about the same territory, a lot of trees, a lot of grass, it's green. Not the case over here. Anyway, so that's a calamity you need to avoid. Not put Jesus and the rest of the Bible characters, such as Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, Isaiah, Paul, don't put them in the wrong landscape. You got to think about where they are. Try to read the Bible from their perspective, like looking through their eyeballs.